Okay, I'm bored. Let's animate something. So just going to delete the default cube, adding in a new one. And I already know what I want to animate. I want to animate a car. And luckily for me, I have invested in the traffic full. So I can spawn in any car that I want. Let's just go for a really cool new car. So not one of the classic cars. Oh, maybe a Skyline. I'm going to be rendering this in Eevee. So it will be a challenge, but it will be fun, I guess. It's been a long time since I've rendered something in Eevee, but I know what we have to do. Just enable all of this so we get the reflections in the glass. Yeah, that looks much better. Okay, the lights are only supported in cycles. Just pose this car, we can see we have a lot of control. So really simple controls, some suspension here, and you can actually just like set the ground. So let's see. We of course need a road. So I just make this size, I think maybe a little smaller, maybe 6 meters. It's a 2-lane road, of course. Let's see. So if we go into pose mode, we can set the ground object, which is this, I guess. Oh, that's pretty cool. So now if I move the rig, it will just be clamped to the ground plane. So I can animate the location and rotation. Oh no, I messed up. Like this. See the car move. Linear, of course. And then I can like make the car drift. It is pretty slow. So I think what I'm going to be doing is just deleting this animation. And then I want to add in a curve. So let's just see curve, just normal Bezier curve, and then just make a road that I want the car to follow. We want the car to move. It has to have a little bit of story. So for the car, I guess just say Porsche 911. And then I am hoping there is a police car here. No, alright, that's fine. So I'm thinking a really simple render. Just add in a circle about this size, and then we can just delete these vertices. Then we can extrude, add some loop cuts because we're going to be bending this one. And then this will be our tunnel. We can extrude along normal faces, minus 0.1, offset even always. And these should be on the floor. So something we can do to do that. I really can't be bothered to line these up. So I can Shift S and then selection to grid. And this will mostly just snap them to the grid where we want them. It might be off by like one of these blocks, but you can fix it yourself. So now we have a perfect topology tunnel, which we can array. Not too big, maybe like 25. And then add in a curve and then just make a shape of a tunnel. It doesn't have to be perfect or anything, just like make something interesting, not straight. So maybe just like this shape, small little S. So then we can enable the tunnel again and then just add in a curve modifier. And then select our Bezier curve, and one of these should be some minus y is flipped, so we should select y, so you can just flip it as well. And here we have our tunnel. It's kind of weird that I have to rotate it, but yeah, it works like this, so who cares. So now I think it will be wise to add in a camera and then just parent this to our rig so it moves with the car, and then just set it up like something like this. Probably add in a track to constraint to the car. So now if we go into the view, you can see the car like this, which isn't ideal. Maybe we can add in an empty. So I want to perfectly focus on this headlight here. So I can set my cursor to here. Then add in a empty right here in the object mode. And then if I select my empty and then shift select my car, go into edit mode. So we have our vertex selected and the empty as well. Then I can press Ctrl P and make a vertex parent. So this empty is always parented to that single vertex. So if I move the car, the empty moves as well. And then I can set the track to the empty. So it will always look at that point of the car. Then we just have to find a nice framing for the car. Something like this. And now if you move the car, the camera will move as well, which is exactly what we want. We need to add a road plane, add in a simple plane and scale it up the same amount as our tunnel. Give it a little bit of thickness since we are in Eevee, of course, so we kind of need that geometry. Give it some geometry so we can deform it with our curve. Add in an array modifier. Again, the same amount. Everything is same. And then a curve as well with the Bezier curve. Probably minus y again. Yeah, this is a perfect tunnel. If you want to like make the tunnel not look like this, you can probably go into the curve node and just enable the resolution preview. So it will become smoother. So now we have our perfect tunnel. We can go into the camera preview, set the background to black, and it's time to add in some materials. So we have lights in the tunnel. For this, I'm just going to look at some reference of a tunnel, and it also has an array of lights. So I suggest we can just add those about here, I guess. Let's inset our faces till they're about 0.25. And then add a loop cut here, so we can do it again. And now we can select all these lights again and extrude them out along the normals by something like this. Expand the selection one time, so we get the side face as well. So we can now add in two materials. One, this will apply to every face, which is just the tunnel material. And then a new one, which is the light. And we can assign this right away. We can change this to emission by just pressing E here. And now if you go into the rendered view, you see these lights here. These might be a little too low to the ground, but I also think the entire tunnel is a little bit low to the ground. So I'm just going to fix that now. This is more what I was looking for. Not really well yet, but we can set this to like 5 and it will be perfect. You can see nice reflections on the car, which is what I'm looking for. And I'm just going to tweak this really quickly. And this looks better because the lights are spaced equally. In the reference, the lights are always a little bit bluish. So I'm just going to set that to blue as well. And I think this is already looking really cool. Really cool. We need a asphalt material, which we can make procedurally. We can see that it also curves with the road, and that's why we use the generated coordinate. If we use the object, this wouldn't work. As you can see, it would just be straight. So this is why we should use the generated coordinate for this one. For the tunnel material, we pretty much just want these bottom parts white and the rest just black. As we can see, it already looks pretty great, but we of course need the background to be black. So I think to make these lights actually do something, I need to add in a light probe, probably the irradiance volume, and then just scale this until it fits our scene. This works. It's all inside. Scale it on the z-axis a little bit and just give this a little bit more geometry. And we can bake this right here in the indirect lighting. Bake indirect lighting, and this will take a while. So I'll be right back. So it is now baked. So let's take a look. Yeah, the inside is beautifully illuminated. There are still some artifacts here, which we can just easily fix by baking it again. But for now, I think this will be fine. And we can just start animating. I'll do the textures for the like white bit here and the black bits later. Right now I just want to animate. So we can, with our rig, we can just do the same thing. Add a constraint, follow path, Bezier curve, and then hit follow curve. So the rotation also follows the curve. Flip it by just pressing the -Y. And now you could press animate path and it will just animate the car along the path for how long you have your scene. But I want to do this manually. So I think we will start like somewhere here, where we can't see the end of the tunnel, and then just animate this. Or maybe just the curve as well, and we just have to extend the tunnel here. I think we'll do that. Okay, so I've decided to just render this in cycles because baking takes too much brain power. And as you can see, it already looks beautiful right here, so why would I? We can't see the back of the tunnel here, which is nice. I do want to make my focal length a little bit more like this. Let me change the camera more to the ground. Something like this. We do have to move our rig here, but it doesn't really matter. And now we can actually like see the displacement if I know where I am. Okay, right here. So you can make this a little bit bumpier so we can actually see it. Oh, and of course, because we switch render engines, we just have to cut this and add it back. Probably like apply the scaling again before it will work. It's just some weird glitch that happens. I don't know why. So let's just animate the path here. Let's go into the camera view and then just location and rotation, and make this about 10 seconds. Yeah, now we can just find the end of the tunnel somewhere right here, and then just make this linear. So now we can see our car move, and then we need to add in some camera shake, also some depth of field of course, to the empty, so we don't really see the end of the car, and the background is a little bit blurred. This looks really cool. We can now, because we're in cycles, also add the lights here, which is really cool. And I like white for the color. You can add in some blades for the bokeh and then just play with the f-stop. I think this actually looks much better. We also want some motion blur for in the final render. And I think I want this pretty high, so 0.75, maybe even 1. And now we need to animate all the wheels. Of course, we need to animate the rotation of the wheels. I think this probably twisted a lot of times. Minus 5,000. Oh, we can rotate it here. That's much better. So we can, and then just add in a driver for every single one of these. Probably like frame multiplied by 5 maybe. So frame multiplied by minus 50 is giving me the best result. So I'm just going to add that to every single one. And we can also animate the steering from here. So I think this is already looking pretty great. And we rotate the wheels when we move. I think it's still a little bit scuffed here. We are not really moving there. Just look at the background. Rotate now. We are rotating too soon. Yeah, I think this is much better. Now we of course need some camera shake naturally. I think this is pretty cool. So maybe just adjust the speed because it's going to be really bumpy. I do want a empty on the headlights so we can focus on there. So we can just add in a new one and then just parent that here and then set this as the focus object. I did do something pretty stupid, which is just focusing here. I hope this will look good with the motion blur. I think it will. And the car should of course ride on the right hand side. We are not British and there's nobody actually riding the car. Is that a problem? I don't think it is. Maybe just add in a tint. Yeah, so this is, we can add in some roughness and then make it a little bit darker, so we do not have to deal with adding in a character, which really sucks. Just have tinted windows now. Now we just want to add in some materials to the side of the tunnel, so we can add in a loop cut. Then just select these and add in some miscellaneous geometry, just some random shit. See how that looks. Ah, it looks fine. Maybe just make that metallic. Let's instead just go over to the material, the white tunnel, add in a Musgrave texture, set a detail really high, dimension really low, and then we can just do the same thing again. This in the factor, this to white, this to a little bit darker than white, and just call it dirt, and also call it a bump. And then the black we can set rougher, and it looks a bit right. The light should be a little bit more blue and a little less strong. I want my car lights to be much brighter as well. Something like this, yeah. And make it like a bluish color. So I think this is ready to render. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I was just bored and I made this really quick video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.